strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. But our good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. Think I'll go out to Alberta, things are good there in the fall. Got some friends that I can go a-working for. Still I wish you'd change your mind if I ask you one more time. But we've been through this 100 times or more. For strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. But our good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. Well, it's one of my favorite songs by Ian and Sylvia Tyson, a Canadian country western duo. And you probably heard it before. I think Neil Young did a version and a few other people. But don't take it as bad news. No, I'm not moving on, and the channel will continue. So I just thought I'd like to sing that for you today. Well, we have a mail call before we get to cooking, and it's from Park Rat Pat. And it's something I won. And I've already slit the envelope, so let's look inside. Oh, it's a very big envelope for 2 very tiny items. I'm going to come a little closer here so you can see. He had a contest. He was promoting his channel and Dirt Trolling Troy's channel. And what I won was 2 pieces of sterling silver. And one is stamped with PRMD, which is for Park Rat Metal Detecting. And the other one has DTT on it for Dirt Trolling Troy. So that's what was in there, and no letter or anything else, just a big envelope for 2 tiny little things. But thank you, Pat. I do appreciate that. It took forever to get here. He mailed it back, let's see here. He mailed it April 29th, and it arrived yesterday, which was June 15th. So don't know what happened to May, but thank you, Pat. So there's 2 channels for you to check out. I'll put links in the description box. But Park Rat Metal Detecting and Dirt Trolling Troy, 2 gentlemen down in Florida that do metal detecting. All right, today we are going to make a simple coffee cake. Now you're going, simple? Look at all those ingredients on the counter. Well, yeah, lots of ingredients, but still very easy to make and quite simple. So I'll move the camera over here so you can have a look at the bowl instead of watching me. All right, so what are we going to need? Well, we're going to use our dry ingredients first. You're going to want 2 cups of white flour. Now, again, this is one of those recipes you can do either or. And so you can use 3/4 of a cup of sugar. But as you all know, my wife's diabetic, so I'm using 3/4 of a cup of Splenda. You are going to want 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Emphasis on the powder. You don't want soda because that'll make you pucker. You want a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And that's it for your dry ingredients. So you want to whisk those together well, or if you have to sift your flour, you could sift them together. Another way to do it. But our flour here in Canada is so fine that it really doesn't need to be sifted. So there we go. We'll get those all whisked together nicely. All right, we can set those aside. Now get another bowl or a mixing cup, and you're going to want 2 eggs beaten. You're going to want 3/4 of a cup of milk. You want a 1/2 cup of melted butter. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And you want to mix those together really well. Now some prep work you can do before you do all this, which I didn't mention, was one is you want to grease a 9x9 casserole dish or cake pan, and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. Now you can do this in a mix master if you want. As you know, I'm a hands-on kind of guy, and I also don't like having to try and talk over the noise of a mix master. So we're just going to blend those all together to make our cake batter. Now if you're doing this in the mix master, you can blend your wet ingredients together in the mix master and then slowly add your dry ingredients. And if you're worried about lumps and you don't think you can do this like I do it, then just add your wet ingredients slowly rather than all at once and just mix them. But I find you're more likely to get lumps if you do it that way than if you do it this way. Alrighty. Now, once you've got that all mixed together, as you can see, it really doesn't take that long. And even though it looked like I had lots of ingredients out here, there really aren't that many ingredients. You want your cake pan, and we're going to put in about half the batter. I'm going to spread that around in your cake pan or your casserole or whatever you're using. Make sure it's greased. I think I mentioned that already, but it's always worth mentioning again, right? Just kind of get it spread fairly uniform thickness across the pan. Alrighty. And then you're going to want some berries. I've got about a cup of blueberries here, but you can use whatever kind of berries you want. And you want to sprinkle them across, fairly evenly across the cake batter. And you can use a fork to even them out a little bit if you need to. And now we're going to put the rest of our batter on the top. So you're kind of making a sandwich with your cake batter. And now you want to spread that around. This can be the tricky part. I probably put a little too much batter in the bottom. Didn't really leave myself much for the top, so it's kind of making that guesstimate for half of your batter, right? That's okay, even if you just have a thin crust on the top. A little bit of the blueberries poke through, that's not going to hurt a thing. It'll just give your cake a little more character. Because as with all things baking, what really matters most is the flavor. Because if it doesn't taste good, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. Tell you a little secret, back when I first started baking, I invited some friends over and I decided I would make them a peach cobbler. And so I had fresh peach. I went through step by step, did it from scratch, and it looked beautiful. Sounds like I'm bragging, right? It did. It could have gone on the front cover of a cookbook. It looked absolutely gorgeous. And I served it up after supper, and we all took a bite and kind of went, oh. I had used baking soda instead of baking powder. And so it looked beautiful, but tasted quite bitter. You don't want to make that mistake. All right, next you're going to want about a half a cup of ground, you can use pecans or walnuts, and a half cup, I'm using brown sugar Splenda, but you can use brown sugar. Now if you use regular brown sugar, you're going to want a whole cup. But I want a half cup, and we're going to blend those together as best we can. And then we're going to add probably about, I'd say 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm guesstimating there, but you can measure it out to about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Oh, that smells good. You want to get it all mixed together really nice. And now we're going to sprinkle that over the top of our cake. Now, I hope the camera's picking this up because I can't see what the camera's doing right now. You probably go with a little less. I probably got a little more than I need. But everybody loves the topping on a coffee cake, right? Anyway, just get that kind of spread out there and then just very lightly pat it down. And you just want to do that to make it go into the batter a little bit. Okay, and that's that. So hang on to your horses and we're going to move the camera again. Alrighty, so we've got those all together. It's ready to go in the oven. As I said, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake it for half an hour. Or if you prefer, 30 minutes. It's up to you. Set our timer. And she's off. So we'll be back in 30 minutes or half an hour, whichever your preference is. Although for you it's only going to seem like a snap of fingers. If I get there before the snow flies, and if things are going good, you could meet me if I sent you down the fair. But by then it would be winter. There ain't too much for you to do, and those winds sure can blow cold way out there. For strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. But our good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. If I'm ever back this way. Well, as you just heard, the timer went off and our coffee cake is done. So let's get it out of the oven and have a look, shall we? There we go. You're going to say, well, it doesn't look much different than when we put it in. And because of the topping, basically you're right. But it looks nice and cooked, and I'll let it cool for a bit, and then we'll cut a piece and we'll give it a try. So don't go away. We'll be back when this is cool enough to eat. Well, hey everybody, our cake is cooled. It's still warm, but it's cooled enough we could cut it and eat it. And there you go. Doesn't that look delicious? And so I got my cup of coffee here. And my blueberry coffee cake. That was so good. Well, I hope you'll give this a try. It's one delicious coffee cake. And until Friday, when we carry on with Robin Hood, last chapter, I believe, chapter 10, take care, stay safe, and God bless.